President Donald Trump made trade a signature issue, wielding tariffs as his main tool to protect American industries. He argued that foreign countries, including close allies like Canada, had long taken advantage of the U.S. tariffs, taxes on imported goods, were meant to make foreign products pricier, nudging Americans to buy domestic. Trump's approach was aggressive and unprecedented in modern times, targeting both adversaries and allies. Even with the USMCA in place, tensions with Canada simmered. The US and Canada share a massive integrated trading relationship, so tariffs on Canadian goods hit both economies hard. In early 2026, reports surfaced that Canada was considering a trade deal with China. The White House saw this as a threat, potentially letting Chinese goods bypass US tariffs via Canada. Trump threatened a 100% tariff on Canadian imports if they moved forward. This escalated into a high-stakes political battle, testing the limits of presidential power and party loyalty. Congress was drawn into the fray, with lawmakers on both sides questioning the wisdom and legality of Trump's tariff threats. The situation set the stage for a dramatic confrontation over trade, national security, and executive authority. The outcome would have major implications for US-Canada relations and the global trading system. Trump's willingness to use emergency powers for economic policy was about to face its biggest test yet. The world watched as the US government debated the future of its trade strategy. Would America's closest trading partnership survive the storm? To protect Trump's tariffs, House Republicans introduced a measure, misleadingly called the Canada Plan, to block Congress from challenging the president's emergency tariff powers. The plan aimed to prevent votes that could end the national emergency declarations justifying the tariffs. Trump relied on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, to bypass Congress, but many argued this was a misuse of the law. The Canada Plan was a preemptive strike to keep Trump's trade policy intact. Businesses, farmers, and families were feeling the pain from rising costs and retaliatory tariffs. The White House hoped to silence opposition and cement the tariffs as permanent policy. The strategy used the Republican House majority to block any resolution against the tariffs. For Trump, this was about more than Canada. It was a fight for presidential authority over trade. The outcome would reveal whether Congress would stand up to the executive branch. On February 10, 2026, the House voted on the Canada Plan. Republican leaders expected a narrow win, but the measure failed, 217 to 214. Every Democrat opposed it, but the shock came from 3 Republicans who broke ranks. Their defection was enough to defeat the plan, sending shockwaves through Washington. The dissenters, representing districts hurt by tariffs, put constituents over party loyalty. This rare rebuke of a sitting president by his own party exposed cracks in Trump's grip on the GOP. The defeat allowed Democrats to push for ending the emergency tariff powers. It was a symbolic and legislative blow to Trump's trade agenda. The vote signaled growing fatigue with trade wars, even among Republicans. The political consensus behind aggressive tariffs was fracturing. Tariffs may sound abstract, but they hit American families directly. These taxes on imports raise prices on everything from appliances to groceries. Studies estimated tariffs cost the average household $1,000 to $1,400 a year. For many, that's the difference between making ends meet and falling behind. Businesses relying on imported materials faced higher costs, forcing them to raise prices or cut jobs. The intended protection for U.S. industries often backfired, hurting the very workers they aim to help. After the Supreme Court's ruling against Trump's tariff authority, state leaders demanded refunds for billions paid by their residents. Illinois' governor even sent the White House an invoice for nearly $9 billion in extra costs. The financial toll of the trade wars became impossible to ignore. The backlash underscored how deeply tariffs affected everyday Americans. Canada was caught between the US and China, accused of letting Chinese goods slip into North America. Prime Minister Mark Carney publicly denied plans for a broad China trade deal, clarifying talks were limited to specific disputes. Carney reassured the US that Canada wouldn't become a backdoor for Chinese imports. His statement aimed to calm tensions while defending Canada's right to set its own trade policy. The episode highlighted the tightrope Canada walks, balancing US ties with global opportunities. Trump's America First stance forced allies to tread carefully. Canada's measured response sought to protect its vital U.S. relationship without caving to pressure. The standoff showed how global trade tensions ripple through even the closest alliances. The final blow to Trump's tariff regime came from the Supreme Court. On February 21, 2026, the court ruled 6-3 that Trump had overstepped his authority by using IEEPA for broad tariffs. The majority, including 2 Trump appointees, declared that only Congress can impose such taxes. The ruling invalidated Trump's tariff policy and could force refunds of over $130 billion. Trump responded defiantly, invoking a different law to impose temporary new tariffs, but with major exemptions for Canada and Mexico. The legal and political defeats marked a turning point. Congress and the courts reasserted their roles in trade policy, curbing unilateral executive action. The era of aggressive, go-it-alone tariffs was over. Future trade policy would require negotiation, legislation, and respect for checks and balances. The U.S. learned that lasting economic strategy can't be built on executive orders alone. The world watched as America's trade future shifted toward stability and cooperation.